But there's a lot of runs, which is good. You can always put a puppy in a run. You can't put a big dog in the middle of it. So, but that's very, very doable. Now, how far will the county let us use up resources towards adoption? You know, that's the mathematical. How's that going to happen? How many cages can we allot for that? And how much can that be done? And will it interfere with your other duties?
Well, that is going to be determined in large measure to how good of a volunteer organization we have, how good of a foster organization we have. You can get a large foster family set up to where they can house dogs temporarily and get a volunteer group that can stay on top of this and keep the website up and keep the dogs on there. That will go a long way to do it. Now, there's another thing you got to keep in mind. At the Humane Society, we lose money on every adoption that we make. But our view is we're trying to save dogs and cats and animals. We're trying to get them out there to people. That's our purpose. So if we lose money every time we adopt an animal out, we're happy with that. Now, this place, of course, we're totally privately funded. We don't get any governmental money at all. This place operates on government money. So you've got to keep in mind that if we do adopt an animal out, it's going to have to be spayed and neutered. Got to have it shots. So we've got to consider how those are going to get paid for, who's going to do it. And you've got to be able to collect it, because if some lady comes in here and she just wants a dog and she's not willing to put up the money to spay or neuter the dog or to get it at shots, that lady probably doesn't need to have a dog.
That's very true.
So all those things are going to have to be taken into consideration.
So if we have a coordinator, an adoption coordinator, they would have people in line or a group that would help pay, do fundraisers to help pay for shots and get these animals ready to move forward.
It's going to, in my view, an adoption coordinator and a volunteer coordinator are essential to this thing being successful.
They adopt 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And they have handouts or paperwork to be filled out. And the age-old rub, especially historically for his organization, was, well, I can go adopt a kid while he's trying to get a dog out of that place. So they're very stringent. And fostering, he assumes they're professionals. Now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that has a dirt lot with a fence with 3 dogs in it is not exactly what, if we want to foster, we want to perpetuate health and perpetuate trying to find a home. And when we get homes, they need to be healthy, good pets, and that goes into the selection process. So if somebody wants to adopt and they've got a house and they want 16 dogs in there, unfortunately those foster people are going to fall in the same category as a private person out here that wants 16 dogs. The county has regulations. They can't be in mud. They have to be fed properly. So those foster people would have the same restrictions as anybody that have a group of dogs out here, because historically we've had some fostering people that had, shall we say, habitats that were inconsistent with good health, disease-free environments.
And we had a few that were just out and out crazy.
So when you have 10 dogs, it cannot be an accident. And it can just not be, oh, let's let them run around. So they have to play, they eat, and they pee, and they poop, and clean up. And so there's some people that have facilities that are wonderful, and historically done a great job, and those are the golden gems that you really, really want. But just because you're an animal lover and you've got a backyard with 2 runs in it and you want to foster, Well, the runs need to be clean. You know, being on dirt for a big dog, a lot of dogs can create problems, giardia, intestinal worms, and things like that. And most of the time they do, a lot of fosters take better care of the four-legged ones than some people do the two-legged ones. However, there's other ones that just love them so much, no matter what condition I have, it's better than the alternative. And that can come and backfire on us when those animals will finally find a home and they may be not healthy and have maybe even picked up something. There have been cases historically where animals have been rescued, and after the rescue, they were in worse shape than when they were rescued. And that has led to problems of national and state law changes. So those things would be wonderful to have. Identify those people, get them a volunteer coordinator to be able to communicate with them, and that would be great. And that would help the shelter out and Betty out tremendously, because a lot of puppies. There is, again, a mathematical odds. The more days you have in here, the more days you potentially get exposed to kennel cough, parvo. People that come in and love dogs, they may have been around to 2 or 3 other places that have puppies or another shelter, and they walk in here. We can't guarantee that their feet are clean and their hands are clean. So, I mean, that's not a big deal, but the veterinarian, if I go work in a pig operation, and I come and go to another pig operation, they got a big vat of liquid, and I have to soak my boots in that liquid before I can walk in their establishment, because they know as a veterinarian I've been around other animals. Maybe, you know, who goes out and cleans their boots every time they work?
It's kind of like the caves and white nose syndrome with the bats.
Exactly. So we don't want to keep people out, but we can't, you know, again, mathematically, if a dog's in here, she sees it for 3 months, and unless you can come up with the money to deworm it and vaccinate it and do all that stuff, there's that $500,000 grant if you can find that somewhere. But all these puppies are fostered to get full veterinary care. It costs additional money for that. So,
do we not do any warming at all here? Do we warm? I thought we did. So the coordinators are going to have to work with fosters, find reputable fosters, is that correct? And we also need funds for vaccination, maybe some fundraisers or whatever any organization wants to do. For helping with vaccinations, are there any vaccinations? No.
Well, we'll have to get regulations on that, because the state of Tennessee, again, Oak Ridge Animal Shelter, Young Williams, they have veterinary hospitals in their shelter. They can do, because they're inspected, like this shelter has been inspected right here, veterinary hospitals are inspected to comply with all state law. You can't, according to state law, you can't be a veterinary hospital, do drugs, do tests, do surgeries, unless you have passed their minimum standards. And they come in, and believe me, go through all your paperwork and everything. And when we designed the shelter, there's 2 rooms back here, a prep area and a spay area. Well, like your house, there's never enough storage. And so it's well utilized, but not for its original intention. And whether we have enough funding to be able to get a veterinary clinic in here, you can talk to Young Williams, or you can talk to Oak Ridge and try to get some figures about how much money's involved in doing that. And then you get your figures and run some numbers, and that would be a lawfully excellent goal, because like I said, when we designed the shelter,
it's about $20,000.
There's grants for that, right? You can apply for a grant for that.
oh, well, not to change the subject, grant writing is an art, and it is work. It is work. And if you ask her one person she would like to have would be a good grant writer, they will pay for themselves, and that is wonderful. But you just don't in 15 minutes sit down and write up a grant. And so if you knew somebody, the Humane Society had somebody that kind of did that, and after so many years in poor health, she's kind of not done that. But there are a zillion grants out there. But if you know anything about animal grants, it has to be on Tuesday. It can't be raining, and you have to be left-handed to get the grant. They have big dog grants. They got little dog grants. They got cat grants. They have grants if you build, but they don't have grants for building. You have to be built already. You have to show them you're already in operation, but they are immense. And there's this thing called competition for grants. I was a Norris safety director the other day. I'm filling out the same grant request I have for the last 5 years. He had never gotten it, but he was still applying for it. And that's the Humane Society. They've been doing a lot of those, and that was wonderful. And here I am still in the whole show there, but we're in Campbell County. We've had grants for years, and it's Campbell County, and a lot of people just about expect some governmental or some kind of help if they're going to spay or neuter an animal. I think our spays and neuters in this county have gone down because we ran out of grants. People just won't do it. Now, they may have the money, but it's kind of like coupon. What's that lady's name of coupons? You just can't go buy groceries if you don't have coupons.
Well, we've got PAL coming in at least once a month, and that's hopefully at least 25. And I know it's going to take years for all these people that have let their animals go, without spay and neuter to help maybe to control the population. It's going to take years to do it, but at least it's a start.
Definitely. It's 25. If you do the math, if you've seen the science, 25 goes into 125, which goes into 525. And, what you're doing 25 now prevents 500 2 or 3 years from now, and it is a start, and you got to start somewhere.
Well, she's right. We realize it's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
We just like to at least get started somewhere.
Sure.
Working together, and working with Betty. She's a very knowledgeable resource of information. And, we would like to get this adoption coordinator, volunteer coordinator person in place and get started and put some guidelines as to what these people need to do. Do they need to sweep? Do they need to knock on doors? Do they need to raise funds? What do they need to do? I've already had people contacting me wanting to volunteer. Of course, I don't know what to tell them at this point.